All right, hi there, folks. Good evening. And we can see that our participants are joining us. We're delighted that you are going to spend an hour with us. Today, I see Jessica and Catherine and Katie and Madeline, Michael, Nishat, Salma, Paula, Sean. Welcome, guys. Glad that you're here with us this evening.
Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you all can join. We're going to get started in just a second. And if you're just coming in, we're about to get started. Take it away, Mark, I think.
All right, let's get going, guys. We're going to try to pack a lot into this evening. We, first of all, want to say congratulations to all of you. This is a session for QuestBridge Finalists. So we officially get to say congratulations to all of you on being named a QuestBridge Finalist. We know that it's been a sort of crazy fast process to get a full application together and off to QuestBridge, but we're excited that you've already gotten a bit of good news. Some of you might be feeling really good about that. Some of you might have no idea what that actually might mean. We're going to try to fill in some of the blanks in our hour together. We want to start actually by learning a little bit about you. We're going to launch a few poll questions. So this very first one, we just want to know where you're from. Where do we have folks coming from today? These first are all from the US. If we've got anyone from outside the US, that last option is there for you. I see we've already got a couple selecting Hawaii, Alaska, and Puerto Rico, and some folks who are outside of the US. So we'll leave this up for just a little while longer. We've got a couple other questions for you as well. All right.
We're excited these are coming in. It looks like people are from everywhere around the US and potentially the world.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and close this. I'll go ahead and share so you guys can see. Indeed, this is one of my favorite things about QuestBridge is that it attracts such a wonderfully diverse group of students from all across the country, even outside the US as well. And not surprised to see this, but delighted that in all kinds of different time zones, you guys are making it out this evening. I have a couple more questions for you. The next, we're going to ask you to introspect a little bit. How are you feeling? How are you feeling right now this evening? Are you feeling awesome? Because, you know, I'm a QuestBridge finalist and that feels great. I'm feeling like, okay, step one's done, but what happens next? Or are you just feeling like, man, to be honest, not so great. This is confusing. This is hard. Let us know where you're at, guys. Thank you for doing some introspection.
And no wrong answers here. I think Mark and I have both, even on our side, felt all three of these things.
I've had a lot of feelings recently, yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for filling that out. We'll turn this around too. No matter what category you put yourself in, you see you are in good company. There are a lot of you. I'm glad that are in that first category. You're feeling awesome. It feels great. Not surprisingly, we kind of have the middle of the curve there. People, you know, kind of in the middle. And some folks are like, yeah, this is tough. We get it. Hopefully, our goal, you know, sort of through this evening is to get everyone hopefully sort of up to the top there, making you all feel pretty awesome about things. And then finally, my last question is just about how are you feeling about the next steps, your to-do list items before November 1. So how are you feeling about completing your final steps for admissions and financial aid at Yale specifically? You're feeling like, hey, done, got that email, it's out. You're like, yeah, I know it's there. I want to get it just right. I'm going to use every last second till I get to the deadline. Maybe you're right barely started. And then, yeah, that last one is like, wait, what? Who? What are you talking about?
I often find myself in that last category. So
again, no wrong answers there. And if you're in that last category, don't worry, we're going to fill you in for you. So, okay, so we'll share that one too. Yep, looks like most of you are almost done. That's good. You're trying to finalize it. Some of you have barely started. And a few of you've already got it done. So good work for all of you in getting to that point. So let's go ahead and give you all a sense of what we're going to talk about this evening. And Corinne is going to give you a little preview of how we're going to fill our hour tonight.
Thanks, Mark. I just wanted to start the session by providing a little bit of a guide for what the next 60 minutes are going to look like. We're going to kick off this session by talking a bit about our Quest Scholars Network at Yale. We're also going to address some common questions about the match. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our Yale process in particular and answer as many questions as you all submitted in advance and live as possible. So we're going to cover a lot tonight. After this session, if you want to learn more about Yale's campus, academics, and our community, please do feel free to check out our website. I'm going to drop a few links in the chat in just a second, but we have information sessions and live student forums happening every single week. We have a number of different virtual tours and an amazing podcast that gives applicants a look inside of the Yale admissions office. So like I said, I'm going to link those right now and let Mark tell you a little bit about what we're going to expect and who we are. On the next slide.
Yep. So the two of us, we have the great pleasure of really co-directing Yale's partnership with QuestBridge. Yale has been a QuestBridge partner since way back in 2007. That was actually the very first year that I started as an admissions officer. So I've been here for almost 15 years at Yale as an admissions officer, and QuestBridge has been a part of every single one of those processes. So we really love being a QuestBridge partner. We really love working with QuestBridge students. And I have to say, this has been sort of one of the silver linings of the pandemic, is that we put together last year for the first time these series of virtual sessions for students throughout the QuestBridge process. We found them really, really helpful. So here's where I want to start, guys. I want to start with encouraging you to take a deep breath. I know a lot of you in that second question were saying, I'm feeling kind of complicated, I'm right in the middle. Here's the good news. The hard part is over. You guys have put together a complete college application, and guess what? You were named a finalist. That's a big deal. I'm going to tell you right now, congratulations, each and every one of you who's watching right now. All of you, seriously, all of you are going to be going to a great college. And all of you, seriously, all of you are going to get a fabulous financial aid award that is going to make it affordable for you and your family. Like, that is 100% confidence. We operate in a world where we don't get to ever talk about, guarantees. And we're always saying, well, listen, it's highly selective. We don't know that. I can tell all of you, I guarantee you, you're all going to go to a great college and you're all going to get a great financial aid award. You are a QuestBridge finalist, and that is an awesome indication that that's going to work out for you. The particulars, where is it going to be? When are you going to find out? How are you going to go through the process? Those are still unsettled, but big picture, very important. So we're going to do some kind of descending into the particulars tonight. We're going to get thick and deep into the weeds, and it can get kind of complicated kind of quickly. If you're feeling overwhelmed, or if you're just sort of not sure, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Take that deep breath. Remind yourself, I'm a QuestBridge finalist. I'm going to a great college. My family's going to be able to afford it. Okay. The other message we want to start off with is that the stakes, as far as Yale's concerned with any of these choices, are not high. We are really lucky that we work for a university that has fabulous financial aid. It is the same for all students. It's the same regardless of how they apply for admissions. It's the same regardless of their citizenship status. We don't do anything special in terms of financial aid awards for students who match with Yale. So for us, the decision about matching a student or not, and your decision about opting into the match or not a big deal at all. So remember, everything we're going to talk about today is not going to be high stakes in terms of your choices. There's no three-dimensional chess associated with this. I know it can seem in the college admissions process that there's someone out there who's doing this more strategically and they know something more than you do and you are at a disadvantage. Nope. That's why we like these virtual sessions, is that we get to talk to you guys directly and tell it like it is. One thing to keep in mind, one thing very, very early on, do not submit a second application. We're going to talk to you about your options as QuestBridge finalists. Overwhelmingly, those students who are QuestBridge finalists opt to use their QuestBridge application. That's the application that's done, and that's fantastic. If that's in because you ranked Yale for the match, that's your Yale application, and you should feel really, really good about it. You are welcome to update it. We'll talk about that a little later in the session. We always sort of encounter students who say, oh, I'm getting nervous. I want to swap things out. Or if I just add a second or third application, it'll be better. And please don't do that. You'll wreak havoc on our database and make things complicated for us. Feel really, really good about your application, and we'll talk about your options for that application this evening. So Corinne's gonna give us sort of an overview of first, what the Quest Scholar experience is like on our campus.
Exactly. So as if a student does end up coming to Yale, one thing that we really want to emphasize here is that we are really proud of our Quest Scholars at Yale. We're proud to be QB partners. We're proud to do a lot of events with the Quest Scholars. I was actually emailing with the presidents today. We have over 400 Quest Scholars at Yale, and our Quest Scholars network is very strong, engaged, supportive, and they hold a lot of different events every single year. That might include speakers or just student organization events or dinners, all of those things. And our admissions office, as I just mentioned, we work very closely with those Quest Scholars on everything from putting on virtual sessions, which we did earlier this fall, to having a kickoff event for match day, to throwing events for admitted students in the spring. We definitely do not abandon our QuestBridge students in any way once they arrive on campus. Now, for a couple of the numbers that you'll see here, last year we admitted 72 QuestBridge matches through the match round, but we like to, as Mark just said, de-emphasize that a little bit because we're even more proud of the fact that we admitted close to 200 total QuestBridge finalists in the full application cycle. So this year alone, with the match, with our early action and regular decision rounds, we ended up having 131 incoming QuestBridge finalists to Yale. And we have a lot of support systems for those students once they arrive. For our first-gen low-income students in particular, we have something called the Community Initiative at Yale, which really supports to empower them academically, socially, and financially. We also have 4 cultural centers on campus, the Poorview Center for Teaching and Learning. There's just a lot of different avenues that students can have for support beyond just their admissions officer and the admissions office. That's like a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be a Questie at Yale. But Mark's going to talk a little bit more about those paths to how a student might get here.
Indeed. All right. So as we said, we're going to descend into the particulars a little bit. I promise this is kind of the densest slide that we're going to talk about this evening. So this is a session for QuestBridge finalists. So if you are a QuestBridge finalist, you have some great options available. And this chart is designed to kind of give you an idea of what your options are. Let's talk through them very quickly. Most folks, as I said, who are QuestBridge finalists choose to rank Yale for the match. And so they are in this first column right here. If you had Yale on your QuestBridge ranking list that was due about 10 days ago, and you were named a finalist last week, you have hopefully already figured out that your application is in our database. We are already starting to prepare for our application review process. And if you complete those final requirements of your QuestBridge questionnaire and that just one question testing choice form, you will be considered for the QuestBridge match. What happens with the QuestBridge match is that the admissions office does a full admissions review for those students that the admissions office wants to admit. The financial aid office does a full financial aid review. The financial aid office says, yes, this family would qualify for Yale's most generous financial aid award, which is called a Zero Parent Share Award. We then send that name on to QuestBridge. QuestBridge does their magic ranking algorithm to then decide, okay, of the schools that offered to admit a student, which was the one that was highest on their list. And come December 1st, if a student is admitted through the QuestBridge match round, they are going to be coming to Yale. If they're admitted, they are coming to Yale. It is a binding process, and that means that a student who matches with Yale agrees to withdraw all their other applications and plan to either matriculate at Yale that coming fall, so that would be fall 2022 for this year, or to take a gap year and postpone the matriculation for 1 year, and in that case, arrive in 2023. But in that case, your college application process, financial aid process, the whole thing's over. You've got it. You've got your admissions offer in hand, you got your financial aid offer in Yale, and you know that you are coming to Yale. It is the case that only students who qualify for that Zero Parent Share Award are eligible to match with Yale. Here's the thing, guys. We're going to say this a few times tonight. You don't know, I don't know if your family is going to qualify for a Zero Parent Share Award. That's a determination that the Office of Undergraduate Financial Aid has to do, and they have to do it with the benefit of all of your financial aid information. So I'm going to encourage you to not, again, try to play three-dimensional chess. Don't think, oh, if I don't think I'm going to qualify, or I did this calculator, I'm just not sure. If you are named a finalist, it's a good sign that you are going to be a good candidate who's likely to qualify for a Zero Parent Share Award. We won't know until the financial aid office does their full holistic review of all of your financial aid documents. Here's the great thing, though, that middle row, if you're not admitted through the match, it's not game over, folks, not at all. if you are not admitted to the match, you are going to automatically roll to the regular decision process. There are a lot of reasons why students might be rolled to regular decision who are really strong and competitive candidates who are, every year we wind up admitting more students outside of the match through that regular decision process than through the match itself. So this is the nice thing about this whole process, is that, again, as we said, the stakes are not high. A student who ranked Yale for the match, who doesn't match with Yale, has not been denied. We're going to do another full review and regular decision, and we've admitted an awful lot of students there. You right now also have the option, if you want, to use your QuestBridge application to apply for Yale's single choice early action program. It is what's called a single choice program, and what that means is that we put some restrictions on where students can apply to other colleges if they're applying to early action. And we have said that the QuestBridge Match process for other colleges and universities is in conflict with our early action program. So if you want to participate in the single choice early action program at Yale, you'll need to actually remove all of your college rankings. You might already be in this position. You may have decided I didn't want to rank anyone, and you are in as a non-ranking finalist in the QuestBridge database. Some of you may have already opted in for early action. And if that's the case, there's some instructions on our website and in some of the emails we've had for how to do that. If you ranked colleges or just Yale for the match and you change your mind, it is possible to remove your rankings with QuestBridge before November 1 and to opt in for early action. Students who've applied for early action will find out around mid-December if they've been admitted. And if that's the case, it's a non-binding offer. Students can submit other applications. They can wait until May 1st to make up their mind. They're under no obligation to matriculate at Yale. Their applications, if they're not admitted, though, may also be deferred or denied. So that's, it will just depend on the admissions committee's evaluation at that point. And that student's financial aid is going to meet their full need. It's not going to have any loans. It may very well be the exact same zero parent share award that a QuestBridge Match student would qualify for. So again, there's no difference in financial aid policy whatsoever. And then finally, students have the option of waiting until regular decision. So if you didn't rank Yale for the match, or if you decided you want to update your rankings and take it away, you will still have the option in the first couple of weeks of December to fill out your QuestBridge regular decision list. And you can add as many colleges as you want that are QuestBridge partners for regular decision consideration. Your application is going to come to us. It's going to be totally free. You're going to get the exact same admissions evaluation, the exact same financial aid evaluation. If you're admitted around the end of March, that would be a non-binding offer. You may also be denied or placed on the wait list, and again, your financial aid would be exactly the same. And in case you're wondering, if you were in that QuestBridge match round and you don't match, you become a regular decision applicant exactly like the other students who started off just in regular decision. So here's the big question. I know that everyone's wondering about all that. We just got into the particulars. Let's zoom back out again. This $100,000 question: will applying through the match or EA or RD, is it going to change my chances or eligibility for admissions and aid? No, not at all. This is a big, complicated chart. There's a bunch of options. We're letting you do all kinds of different things. It's for you. You do you. It's not for us. It's not designed to give some people advantages over others. The message here is you do you. There are different reasons why you might want to organize your college search process in different ways. You might want to get information at different times. You might want to consider other pathways that don't include QuestBridge. That's all great. You do you. We want to make sure that as a QuestBridge finalist, you have the option to use your QuestBridge application to apply for first-year admission to Yale any way that you want, and know that your admissions evaluation and your financial aid award are going to be exactly the same no matter what choice that you make. Over to you, Corinne.
Thanks, Mark. I know that part is really detailed, but it's really, really important. But often right out of Mark's presentation on the last slide comes the question, well, what happens on December 1st? And what happens for students who might not match in our pool? So we're going to talk a little bit about that right here. Now, on December 1st, there's really only 3 possible things that can happen. The first, as Mark already mentioned, there's no denial of any students happening on December 1st for anyone at all. We are reviewing applications at that time, deciding whether to match, but we're not deciding whether to deny. So students who participated in the National College Match will find out on December 1st if they match to one of the schools on their list. If you match to Yale, Great, fantastic. We are so excited to have you. Remember, that is a binding decision and you're done with the application process at that point. If you have put in applications to schools outside of QuestBridge, we'll ask you to go withdraw those applications because you're committed to Yale. But we can assure you at that point that you're going to have the best possible financial aid package that we can provide. Now, on December 1st, the other option that might happen is that you match somewhere else. Amazing, great thing. Same thing as the other school, they're going to be binding, and we on our end are going to go ahead and withdraw your application from Yale consideration. And we know we're kind of happy to do that, honestly, on that day. I often look at students where they get in, and I might have read their file and been rooting for them, and we're so excited because they're all set at another amazing institution, again, with the best possible financial aid package. So while there may be some students that we wanted to match with and we're sad to see they're not coming to Yale, I've never had that day happen and been really disappointed because I know that any student that matches somewhere else really just ended up at an amazing home. Now, the third thing that can happen is that a student might not match anywhere. And in that case, if the student had submitted their application to Yale for the match and they ranked us, what we're going to do is we're going to roll that application automatically to be reviewed again in our regular decision pool. Again, that's why we say there's no denying happening at that point. It's going to get another review in regular decision. You do not have to do anything at that point or change anything. That's very important. Do not decide at that point, oh, I wish I submitted a different application platform, or maybe my application will be stronger. I think I'm going to withdraw it. No, stop. That messes with our system. We also, as Mark mentioned earlier, we're only considering your QuestBridge application at that point. That is your application through the whole process. So please do not try to withdraw it. That triggers a lot of emails that we have to deal with on our end. And what we end up doing is we have to delete your new application on a different platform. So don't do that. The only thing that we're going to ask from you at that point, if you don't match, is a mid-year report from your school when it's available. That'll be submitted by your high school counselor generally. And then we'll find out at the end of March where you're going to end up, right? And we will give you that final decision. The technical deadline is April 1st for regular decision, but that's April Fool's Day, which is a little bit mean. So we try to do it a couple of days earlier than that. But again, this is another reason why we just want to de-emphasize the match a little bit, because while a student might not match to Yale, that really doesn't have anything to do with the strength of their application. There are definite students that we absolutely love and can't wait to admit in regular decision. There are a lot of reasons why a student might not match, from financial aid not being ready, or to their application, we want to see those mid-year grades or get an interview or things like that. Don't read too much into it. Just know that we're going to review your application again over the next few months. All right, Mark, I'm going to go back to you for a little bit of those next steps.
All right. So as we mentioned, there are some next steps, and we noted that a few people were saying, "Wait, what? There's next steps." So the first and most important thing to do is activate your Yale admissions status portal. This is going to be the key to understanding what comes next. It's how you should interact with the admissions office, check on your documents. If you're wondering what on earth that is, go back and check your email. Go back and check your email from last week on the 20th. We sent an email with a link to activate your status portal to all finalists who ranked Yale, because their application materials hit our database. That kicked off a whole process to notify students about that. Check your spam folder. If you use Gmail, check your promotions tab. I was answering a lot of emails today from folks who hadn't been checking their promotions tab over there. I'm sorry. I wish that it went to the right place, but our spam machines sometimes, get caught up in those things. So if you've not found it, go take a look. It was sent to the email that you included on your QuestBridge application. If you're having trouble with that, you can, either call the admissions office or shoot the admissions office an email using the questions form that's on our website, and someone can resend that to you. When you go to the portal, you're going to see the status of all of your application documents. And any application document that was sent to QuestBridge will have been sent to us. So that means if you had, 2 recommendations that were with your QuestBridge application, we will have 2 recommendations with us. If you sent an official transcript to QuestBridge, we will have an official transcript with us. It is possible that you didn't have one of those things with your QuestBridge application and you were still named a QuestBridge finalist. That's absolutely fine. But you will want to see about completing those things. And you'll see some instructions on our website for how folks can do that. The easiest way is actually for folks to use a link that's on our website for counselors. That's admissions.yale.edu/counselors, and there's a material upload form there. So if you already know that there's something missing in your application, that's where something like a transcript or an additional letter of recommendation can be sent. Most of you, though, are going to go to that portal and you're going to see that we've got green check marks down the row. Everything that you sent to QuestBridge was sent to Yale, and all the pieces of the puzzle are right there. You have 2 forms, though, that you'll need to complete. If you are applying for the match, you'll need to complete these by November 1st. That first one is the most straightforward form you'll ever fill out. It has one question. There's one question. Do you want standardized test scores included with your application review or not? The default is set to no. So if you didn't have scores with your QuestBridge application and you don't want them considered, you actually don't need to fill that out. Just for your peace of mind, though, if you want that red X to go away, go ahead and fill it out and say no. If you did include tests with your QuestBridge application, you will need to fill this out and say that you want those test scores included. We're not going to assume that just because you included test scores with your QuestBridge application that you want them included at Yale. We don't have time to go into a whole big sort of advice giving session about this. What I just want to emphasize is that Yale, for a second year now, is test optional. When we say test optional, we really do truly mean test optional. Try not to get into 3-dimensional chess with this. Just ask yourself, do I feel like my test scores are a strong and compelling part of my file? Do I have test scores? If you don't have them, I guess it's easy. If the answer is yes, go ahead and fill that out and say yes. The QuestBridge questionnaire is a short collection of Yale specific questions. It truly is very, very short. We're going to basically ask you to do 3 basic things. We're going to ask you to think about your academic interests as they relate to Yale specifically. So that's going to come in a couple parts. Yale has about 80 majors, and we ask all of our applicants to choose up to 3 of those majors that they are thinking about. It's important to remember that Yale doesn't have different undergraduate schools. Students don't apply to a particular major. All of you are just applying to Yale College. But we are interested in kind of what you're thinking about. You might have 3 very similar areas because you're really interested in one particular topic. You might have 3 completely different areas. You might have areas on there that you've never studied before. They just sound interesting. All of those can be great as long as they're a good reflection of you and your interests. So fill those out, pick up to 3, and then also go ahead and you'll do a quick just reflection, say like, hey, what were you thinking about there? We're also going to ask you, what in particular led you to apply to Yale? That's kind of the second part, this sort of why Yale question. And I encourage you to just kind of, again, reflect honestly. Think in the past tense, meaning think back and ask yourself, well, gosh, what was it about Yale that led me to apply? You might just say, listen, I saw that it was a QuestBridge partner and, went to a virtual event earlier this summer and I was intrigued and it seems like a place that could be a great fit for me. That's a great answer to that question. If you had a specific experience or a specific insight you wanted to put there, that would be great as well. It's short. Both of these are, about 100 to 125 words or so, short responses, guys. And then the last part, you're just going to answer some basic yes/no questions for us if you were interested in submitting something like an arts supplement along with your application, or if you want to opt in for a few other kind of specialized programs that Yale considers applicants for. This whole thing really should not take you very long, I promise. And I'm going to encourage you, it's not going to make any difference for how your application is reviewed, don't worry. If you are going to go do something fun on Halloween this Sunday, don't have to cancel your plans because you're like, oh, I'm just stewing over this thing and I want to get it exactly right. Like, you're going to be absolutely fine. It's not going to take you that long. Give yourselves, 15, 20, 30 minutes or so just in your schedule, set aside over the next few days to just put these, put some thought into these responses, send it off, get it done. That's due by November 1st for students who are ranking Yale for the match, November 4th for students who are applying for early action. And that's because those students who are opting in for early action are actually not going to sort of, bring your application into our database until around November 1st or so. So you won't even have the option to do this until around then. So it'll give you a few days after that. Corinne is going to talk about the options for interviews as well.
Yeah, we have a couple of hot topics here to sort of wrap up our formal presentation before we move into your questions, which are great. We're trying to answer as many as we can in the Q&A. But one of the questions that comes up really often is, can a QuestBridge finalist, especially in the match round, have an interview, or what will that like and when will it happen? So timing, this could be very soon. It might be later. Don't sweat it. Don't read into it. We're trying to interview as many students as we can this year. All of that is virtual. It was last year too. It worked great, especially for the match when there's a quick turnaround. But check your email. As Mark said, our interviewers will reach out over email. Some of them might try to give you a call if they can't get a hold of you. So check your voicemail, have a voicemail. But they might be from a current student. We have a few seniors that work in our office. They might be from alums, especially if it comes later in the early action round or in regular decision. Some students might be a part of our match process right now, but not be contacted for an interview until February. It just depends on what our capacity is during different parts of the year. You cannot request an interview. That's a really important distinction here. In order for an interview to sort of be triggered in our system, basically an application has to be submitted and complete. You all, if you're applying for the match, that should be you. You should be done. Nothing to worry about there. The deadline has passed, again, for the match that already occurred. And so those are sort of the two things that really trigger it. Again, when will they happen? Could be any time. If you don't get an interview in the match round, again, like many things here, it's just our capacity, so don't sweat it. There might be another opportunity later. We really try to use interviews for students for whom we need more information. So it's very possible that we love a student and we don't need anything else. And so they might not be asked for an interview, right? So don't assume that not having one means that you're uncompetitive at Yale. A lot of the questions that are coming in right now, though, are actually about financial aid. So I'm going to switch it over to Mark to talk a little bit about that.
Let's do it. All right. So the financial aid process, I think, is the more complicated piece of the puzzle. But I want to make clear for you guys that right now your action items are actually pretty straightforward. You want to work your hardest to complete 3 documents if you can. I know we had some questions about saying, well, what if my family can't submit the FAFSA? It's no big deal. It's helpful to remember that financial aid officers go through a holistic process just like admissions officers do. They're real people over there as well. Like the financial aid office isn't just like some sort of crazy bank of computer servers that's just trying to calculate. Like, no, they're real people. They're friendly. They're nice. They answer questions and they consider complex family circumstances as well. So what we're going to ask you to do is to try to get these documents together and submitted digitally to Yale by November 1. Let me start very clearly and say, if you don't get them in by November 1, that's okay. We understand there's lots of reasons why that might not happen. It's not going to destroy your chances, whatsoever. So work with your family to try to get these together. You will find that this can be done pretty quickly, virtually, if you have these sorts of virtual documents, available sort of pretty quickly. So a few things to know, about these pieces of the puzzle. If you are a non-U.S. citizen, if you are an undocumented American, if you have DACA status, you don't need the FAFSA. Just very, very clearly there. CSS profile, like I saw some questions about this. If you put EA or regular decision, it doesn't matter. If you don't automatically get a fee waiver, because the CSS profile is something that typically charges a fee for students, if you don't automatically receive a fee waiver, you can actually contact the Yale Office of Undergraduate Financial Aid and you'll automatically get one. So you should not need to pay anything to submit that CSS profile. After you submit the CSS profile, that's when you'll be able to submit your tax returns via something called IDOC. That's IDOC, and it's sort of a secure online document transmission system. And you can use that through the CSS profile system after your CSS profile is submitted. If you have a non-custodial parent, meaning one of your biological parents who does not have custody of you, we are going to ask that we get that financial aid information if possible. You can request to have Yale waive the review of that non-custodial parent's information. There is a form that you would fill out for that. It was included in one of the first emails that was sent, and you can find it on the undergraduate financial aid website. And so there's a whole process for that. Again, remember that there's a real person on the other end who's considering that. And so if you have a non-custodial parent, if they are sort of in your life, the assumption from financial aid is that we will have their information as part of the review process. If there's a reason though why it should be waived, just complete that form and they can decide about waiving that. As we said, you want to do this as soon as possible, but you really shouldn't sweat it. If you are admitted through any program, we're going to make sure that you have a financial aid award before you make your choice. And remember, if you match, you have a financial aid award. We are always very, very careful to make sure that we are only matching with students for whom the financial aid picture is crystal clear, and we know that they're getting that financial aid award along with that admissions decision. Here's the most important thing, guys. The financial aid checklist that's on the status portal is really, really helpful. It will give you a sense of when these things have been received. But if something's missing or awaiting, or you just aren't sure what's happening next, the financial aid office will reach out to you if they're missing something. We're not in the business of being sort of, mean and sort of ghoulish and like saying, well, sorry, we want to admit you, but we just can't because you didn't get this thing in on time. Like, sorry, Charlie, like, nope, that's not how we operate at all. We want to bring the best students to Yale, and we want to do everything possible to make sure that they get the best financial aid award. And so our financial aid office reaches out proactively when things are missing and when they need things. There will be students for whom the financial aid office needs more than those three pieces, the FAFSA, the CSS profile, and the tax returns, in order to get a full picture of a student's financial need. And so they might reach out to you and say, hey, can you complete these additional forms, or can we see these tax documents from a family business or something like that? So be on the lookout for those things. But no news is good news, meaning if you don't hear from these folks, you should feel good that they have what they need to do their review there. So let's move on, Corinne, and talk a little bit just about our general advice. And by the way, there is the financial aid website where you can find everything that you need, FinAid, FINAID.yale.edu. So some advice about the process, and also some great Instagram links to see some more pictures of Yale and student life there.
Perfect, Mark. And just so everyone is aware, this is our last slide of the presentation, and then we're going to move into a lot of your questions. I know that they're still coming rapid fire to us, but hopefully this helps a little bit. So overall, and I've already seen this question come up a bunch in what you all are submitting, the basic information in any application that Yale accepts, including the QuestBridge application, is the same. And each of our 3 application platforms is going to ask for a student's personal information, family and background context, and their extracurricular list, as well as their transcript and class details. So this is all pretty standard across the board. The difference in using the QuestBridge application is mainly the essays, which give us a little bit more insight into the student's story. By using the QuestBridge application, we often learn a little bit more about your background, context, family, neighborhood, and sometimes even the challenges that you faced. Ultimately, the QuestBridge application shows the admissions committee how being from a lower income background has shaped the student's identity. So that's one reason why a lot of students, when you're typing to us, well, what if I want to submit a different application? Or what if I don't match? I really want to put in another one. We want you to kind of press the brakes a little bit on that. We actually get a lot from the QuestBridge application, and while we're not preferencing one platform over the other, we do really think, especially Mark and I, that this is a fantastic way to show who you are, and we gain a lot from it on our side. So what are we looking for? Generally, we're looking for the same things from all of our applicants. We want to find students who are the best fit for Yale academically and socially. And in particular, we're looking for students who can both add to our campus and will actively take advantage of all the resources that we have to offer. Now, if you want to learn more about our campus or what that means to be a fit for Yale, I do recommend one of our virtual info sessions. Those dive into all the different parts of our campus and what makes us a little bit unique. But it's important to remember that Yale is proudly affirmative for students from lower income backgrounds. That said, QuestBridge is not the only avenue for these students to apply, but when we come across a QuestBridge application, we know we're looking at the student through the correct lens. That's another reason why we love working with QuestBridge and QuestBridge students. Now, honestly, my best advice in this process, and maybe Mark has some to add from his point of view, is that we're really just looking for you to be our authentic self. We want you to write about what's important to you, not what you think we want to see. And this is really the same advice I'd give to any student. And so if you're a little bit stuck, you're thinking about that QuestBridge questionnaire, what do I want to go to Yale for, why Yale, all these types of things, don't get too stuck there. Don't spend 2 weeks kind of just ruminating on this. I know that that's kind of the person I am. I won't be able to stop thinking about it. We're really just saying, hey, what are you going to bring to our campus and what are you going to take away? And we want to see that in your own authentic voice. We want you to do a little bit of research, maybe on our website, maybe listen to one of those information sessions or go to a student forum with our current students, but then just write what you think you're going to add. Don't stress too much about it. We already have so much information about you that that's just a little bit more that helps us along the way. Now, at the end of the day, Mark and I and the entire Yale staff, we know the QuestBridge application really well. We know that this is an application that you submitted a little bit earlier. We know that for some of you, you might not have realized that this was going to be your official application to Yale. That's okay. We see that. We've done this for many, many years. So don't second guess yourself. Just be in our pool. Be confident in the application information that you put forward. If you have updates, you're welcome to submit them. But that's the best advice that we can give. You are ahead of the curve, actually. You've already submitted and completed this whole college application. And a lot of people are still stressing about doing that part. So at the end of the day, we're really proud of you. And we know that this is all going to work out the way that it's supposed to.
I think that's really, really well said, Corinne. I think, at this stage, what's just important to remember is what we started with. You've been named a QuestBridge finalist. You should feel really, really good about that. And you should feel good about what you put in that application to QuestBridge. So there are obviously some things that you might want to update. And I want to make clear that you can use the Yale admissions status portal to do that. So there is a very simple button that is on that status portal that is going to allow you to update your admissions application. If you have new information, if you have sort of late breaking things, if there's been news in your senior year, a project you've been working on is advanced, you got a new award or recognition, you got new test scores and you want those considered, with your application. Maybe you that said no previously and now you want scores included. You can do all of that with that button, right there on the status portal. The other thing I want to emphasize is that if you see that your two recommendations from, what's listed as a teacher recommendation on the status portal, if those are listed as received, your application is complete. I know we had some questions coming in about if one of my recommendation letters was from someone other than a teacher, do I need to send a second? You do not need to send a second from a teacher. If your application is, displaying as complete on the status portal, that means that it is complete. It is possible that for some students, we might reach out and say, I think the admissions committee would appreciate an extra letter of recommendation from an academic teacher. If you're able to send one to us, that would be great. But again, if you get one of those, it doesn't mean that your application is incomplete. And if you don't get one of those, it doesn't mean that your application isn't, advancing or anything like that. We are being accommodating with the QuestBridge policy of allowing students to use a non-academic letter of recommendation. But in some cases, we might request one just sort of for our own purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share. And we've got about 15 minutes left here to try to answer as many questions as we can. We got a lot in advance. So Corinne, why don't we just kind of go down to those sort of questions that we got in advance and try to hit some of these kind of rapid fire back and forth.
Absolutely. So the first one that I'm going to take here is there a definitive number of Yale applicants that are accepted through the National College Match each year, or does it vary? I've also already seen this in the ones you're asking live. We do not have a number. We don't have a target. We don't say to QuestBridge, we're only taking this many. It can fluctuate. In recent years, from my memory, it's been anywhere from 60 to almost 90. More is great for us. We want more QuestBridge matches. It just depends on what the pool is supporting.
So this next question here, people are wondering, how specific do I need to be in those supplemental questions? I'm not going to advise you to go sort of do a bunch of crazy research on the website and just kind of quickly Google a bunch of folks and then kind of toss a bunch of names in there. I think, again, the best thing that we can see is the same kind of honest reflection. I'll note, this could be helpful to know, when we're reading an application from a QuestBridge student, we're going to read your full kind of QuestBridge application piece first, so the essays and your activities list and all of those pieces you did for QuestBridge, and then we're going to read the Yale QuestBridge questionnaire. And I think the best responses there are the ones where it's clearly the same person that we've been seeing in the QuestBridge application is now reflecting on Yale. And I love having the experience of sort of getting excited about a student that I'm reading in their QuestBridge application, thinking, wow, this student could be a really, really good fit for Yale. Like, I think they could add a lot to our campus. I think they could take a lot away. And then I get to that QuestBridge questionnaire and I say, yes, they've done the same kind of reflection and they've made the same kind of connections while they've really been thoughtful about this. That's what really stands out in that space.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. I fully support and agree with that answer. This is a really good question, I think. What does it mean to be binding to Yale or to commit? And is there a fee that we have to pay when we do commit? So for students who are admitted through the match process, that is a binding process. So that means that if you match to Yale, yay, you're coming, you're committed, you're attending. You will get an official form to fill out to say that you're coming, but we already know that you're on your way the next fall. A student admitted in single choice early action or in regular decision, those are not binding processes. So a student will have all the way until May 1st to tell us if they're coming. They'll get that same form to fill out. The answers are, yes, I'm coming next fall. No, I've decided to go somewhere else, or yes, I'm coming, but I'm going to take a gap year. When a student fills out that form, this is a great question. Do we have to pay a fee? A lot of schools might charge a small or substantial fee. They might charge a housing deposit. We don't do any of that. We're not asking for any fees from Yale. So when you say yes, you just know that's all you have to do. There's nothing else that's going to come to you and nothing that your family is going to have to pay.
Yeah, so another couple that we got in advance. One is, about asking, can I edit my QuestBridge application? And another is about, well, if I don't match, could I reapply for regular decision using my common application or something else? And the answer to both of those is no, with an asterisk. So no, you can't edit your application, and no, you can't apply with a second application. If you've ranked Yale, your QuestBridge application is your Yale application. You can certainly update your application. You can update your application with news, as we were saying. If you feel like, gosh, I've had some more time to put together, an essay that I really think, captures me better, and what I put together in the QuestBridge application feels kind of rushed and incomplete in comparison, it is absolutely fine to send that as an update. But just remember, you are not going to be changing what's been submitted, and you're not going to be sort of swapping out one application for another. Your QuestBridge application is your Yale application. Feel good about it. Just keep us sort of up to date and in the loop if there's other things that we need to know about.
Perfect. Another great question, does Yale track demonstrated interest? So if none of you, or some of you might not have heard this phrase demonstrated interest before, some schools will track how many times a student contacts them. Did they visit in person when it was possible? Did they call or email or go to a virtual information session? At Yale, we don't track demonstrated interest at all. Your interest is you submitting an application to us. That's the highest level of interest that we can receive and that we really care about on our end. So coming to the session tonight is great. Going to one of our virtual sessions or student forums or taking a virtual tour right now, awesome for you all to get to know Yale a little bit more, to maybe help with those supplemental questions that you're looking to answer. But no amount of email or contact or phone calls is going to get a student into Yale. I will take a moment right here to say, If we don't get to your question, there are so many that are coming in that we're not going to be able to get to. You can always go on our website and submit information to us through the contact us page. Fun little fact, they go directly to my inbox, and Mark, myself, and one other person are the ones who answer those. Again, writing to us will not get you in, but if there is something you're wondering that's really important that is not answered tonight, go to our contact us page and we will get to you usually within about 72 hours.
So I just saw a question that came in, I think is a good one to mention here, sort of on the topic of potentially kind of switching applications and things like that. If you remove Yale from your rankings list for any reason, that's fine. Don't worry, you're not going to hurt our feelings. That's okay. That is not the same as withdrawing your application. And that is not going to mean that your QuestBridge application sort of goes away from our database. So if you do that, you're actually going to get an email from us that follows up explaining that you are, our default option is actually for you to just be rolled into our regular decision process with your QuestBridge application. It is possible if you get back to us, pretty quickly after that to change your mind about that, but we aren't seeing that as saying, oh no, I'm no longer applying to Yale, or even no, I'm no longer applying to Yale with my QuestBridge application. That's simply all it's telling us is that you are not interested in being considered for the match round anymore. And so the default is going to be there. Again, back to the big picture, guys. Don't try to play 3D chess with this. There's not going to be any difference for admissions or aid depending on what your choices are there. So there could be a reason why that makes sense for you, but sort of all the things being equal, I would not recommend that. Again, just because you already have a completed application in at Yale and one that's already been sort of designated as one that's likely to be strong.
Perfect. So one of the most common questions that we've been seeing over the last couple of months is this question about a second letter of recommendation from a teacher. So just to take a moment, in the past, QuestBridge has asked for exactly what we ask for from all of our other application platforms to Yale, which is 2 letters of recommendation from teachers in core academic subject areas. So core academic subject for us is generally English, math, foreign language, social studies, or science, and a counselor letter of recommendation. Now, this year, they changed those requirements at QuestBridge. So it's 1 teacher from those subjects, 1 person in your community who can speak to you and knows you well, and the counselor letter. We know that that differs a little bit on our end from what we are asking for. So what we want to happen here is not for everyone to rush out and ask another teacher to write them a letter of recommendation. It's important to know that if we have those 3 letters, your application to Yale is considered complete. You can see that on your Yale application status portal. There is the checklist there. If all 3 of those have check marks next to them, you're good to go. Now, in some instances, we know that the admissions committee might want to see another letter of recommendation from a core academic subject area. In those circumstances, when the person reading your application or when the application goes to committee, could be either of those things, thinks that another letter is needed, you will get an email from us and we'll ask you to go out and get one of those, and we'll tell you exactly how you can submit it. This will not be most students. Most students, we have enough information there to go from. If you do receive that email, it is not a requirement to do it, but we strongly recommend it. It means that on our end, we know that that's something that the committee is probably interested in seeing, and it can really usually only help you, right? So that's sort of how we're going to approach that for this year. So don't stress about it. Your application's complete, but if you get an email, make sure that you go out and ask another teacher to write on your behalf.
Fantastic. All right, so I've been deep in these these questions right now. It's a little bit hard to kind of pull myself out here and sort of try to get to one that might be. I'd gotten to one of these a little before. Oh yes, so let me mention, currently the financial aid checklist is not displaying on the status portal. That's going to change soon. We're waiting for the folks at the Office of Undergraduate Financial Aid to do that. So don't sweat it right now. Everybody who's got an application in is not yet seeing their financial aid documents. That will be accessible hopefully in the next week or so. And again, if something is missing and the financial aid office needs it, they are going to reach out to you directly to try to get that into you. So so don't sweat that there. We've also seen some questions about if I've got financial aid documents and I can't do, the sort of easiest possible way of submitting them online through the FAFSA, through the CSS profile, through IDOC, what do I do? The simple answer is you just submit them directly to the Office of Undergraduate Financial Aid. That is an important distinction to make. We are two separate but closely connected offices. Admissions information, things like recommendations, essays, high school transcripts, test scores, if you want those considered, et cetera, those come to us in admissions. Financial aid documents, things like tax returns and forms and things like that, that goes to the Office of Undergraduate Financial Aid. And their website, finaid.yale.edu, finaid.yale.edu, has really clear instructions on how applicants can submit documents to their office. So that's how you're going to do that. And again, stay tuned for the status portal kind of updates on the financial aid piece. And then finally, just if you've not activated your status portal, do it. Go find that email, activate it, find your PIN, get in there. If you haven't been in there yet, you're missing out on like the most critical sort of information and your next steps. So a lot of these questions, I'm sort of looking, I'm like, activate your status portal and all will be revealed. You'll know if you just go check that out there.
Awesome. A question that I've seen a few times is, how do we not review test scores? What counts as a test score? And can we change our mind after we fill out that testing choice form to Yale, right? So first of all, you may not remember this. I know it was a while ago. When you filled out that QuestBridge application, all of your testing information pretty much lived on one page on that application. So when we get those applications from QuestBridge, we say we don't want that page unless a student sends to us that they want to share that testing. So that form that you'll fill out for Yale, that one question, super easy form, that is that trigger for it to come to us. When a student says yes to that, that's sort of the final answer. A student can always say no and then switch to yes by submitting additional testing as an application update, but they cannot go from yes to no because we cannot guarantee that we haven't already reviewed that application. Along those lines, I'm also seeing questions, are you reviewing our applications yet? Yes, we are. Students for the match, we have begun reviewing those completed applications. This is a very quick turnaround on our part. That's why we're asking for everything by kind of November 1st for those, because it's very, very quick and we still have to have the whole financial aid process happen as well before December 1st. It is by far faster than any of our other timelines. Students that are going to be in the single choice early action round, we don't have time or capacity to really start reviewing those until after November 1st.
That's right, guys. I'm trying to see if there's sort of one. I mean, we've got lots and lots of questions. It's a little bit overwhelming. So I'm sorry that we're not going to be able to get to all this, guys. Maybe instead of sort of trying to answer some final questions, let's just kind of wrap things up here, guys, because we do want to be conscious and respectful of your time. We understand, as we said, it's easy to descend into the particulars. Take a deep breath. Step back, take your fingers off the keyboard, and remember that you are going to be in great shape. We've sent all the information that you need to know to your inboxes, so be checking those emails. Really, there's 2 emails from last week that'll tell you kind of everything that you need to know. One was sent last Tuesday, right after you got the good news that you were named a finalist. That kind of tells you about kind of the next steps. The next was sent on Wednesday, and it includes the information about how to activate your status portal and just sort of things that you need to know as an applicant. So everything that you need to know is right there. If you are interested in descending a little bit more into the particulars, I'm going to end with a shameless plug for a podcast that I co-host and that Corinne has a guest starred on a few times. It's called Inside the Yale Admissions Office, and we started it a little over a year ago. And it's been a great way for us to kind of discuss things in depth that sort of don't make it easily onto a web page. I'll draw your attention to it because we did a great episode very early on. We wanted to sort of prioritize this, all about QuestBridge and all about Yale's partnership with QuestBridge. And we also interviewed Anna McCullough, who is the co-founder and CEO of QuestBridge as well. So I'm going to recommend that if you just sort of find your overactive brain just kind of going into hyperdrive, and you're like, well, I don't have any action items left. I've sent my QuestBridge questionnaire on, but I kind of want to know what's happening now on the other end of the digital divide. The podcast could be a great way to sort of give you some insights into all that, and recommend, just sort of listening to the QuestBridge piece and others that might be of interest to you and your friends as well. We're actually, we're hoping that our next one is all going to be about financial aid. So hopefully in the next few weeks or so, we've actually got some more details for you out there. But I want to say thank you all for joining us this evening. Corinne, thanks for being a part of this, and I'll let you close us out.
Yeah, along that last mention of financial aid, I just dropped the links again that I dropped at the very beginning. So you can check out our virtual events and tour, the podcast that Mark just mentioned. We have a great Yale and QuestBridge page with some brand new videos that talk about some of our most asked questions, and as well as a place where you can estimate your cost in 3 minutes using our My Intuition calculator. In addition to that, I dropped information for how you can reach out to the financial aid office. I would say that more than half of the questions that we received live tonight were about some specifics on financial aid forms, documents, timeline, all those different things. Mark and I know a little bit about a lot of things, but we are not necessarily financial aid experts. We can't give you an estimate of what your package would look like. We can't really tell you what to do if something is missing or you have a special circumstance. So we really do recommend reaching out to them at sfsc@yale.edu, or during normal business hours, you can reach them over the phone at 203-432-2700. They're really friendly, really nice, kind of like us. We're really great friends with many of them over there. They want to help. But for those financial aid specific questions, instead of emailing us and contacting us through the Yale Admissions Office webpage, you'll want to go right to them. We're going to end up forwarding your questions over there anyways. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us. We know that this process can be confusing. It can feel like a long road. You're almost there. We want to congratulate you all on being named finalists, and we really look forward to reading your applications over the next few months. Thank you again, everyone, and have a great
guys.
night.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.